Hello, friends. Today's topic is hyperinflation, and will the United States ever see this happen? Many countries around the world have experienced this, and it wasn't good at all. Let's rant about it.
This is hyperinflation at its finest. This is 40,000 Argentina pesos right here. Back in 2018, this was worth $2,000 American. Now it's worth about $75 American. You see, back in 2018, this 20 peso note was equivalent to $1 American. Now you need 520 just to equal that $1. This is all because of government spending, a poor economy, and the government printing large amounts of capital.
Eggs are still high, cereal prices still high. Like, why is inflation maybe not coming down to the extent some of these folks would think?
Two reasons. And yes, we have a grumpy consumer that's still spending. And the reason why is that as economists, we focus on rates. We love rates. Rates come down. But as a consumer, even I as an economist walk into a store and say, man.
Like, what did cereal become like $8 a box? And it's like, what's cereal in the box? It's like
exactly.
This.
Where are these prices coming from? I immediately stop being an economist and start being a consumer. And yes, I'm mad about the box of cereal. It's $8, exactly. But also from the labor market's perspective, real wages haven't grown all that long. And so the consumer has been missing out on real wage gains. Even though wage growth was high, inflation was higher. And so we haven't had a consumer that's really benefited from real wage growth to make up for what they lost when we were coming out of the high inflation period.
Who is to blame for all these damn price increases? The government? The corporations and their greed? Kanye West? Let's really get into what inflation is. You know I make this topic simple, that's why you follow me. If there's only $3 in this economy, can we all agree that nothing could cost more than $3? Say yes. So inflation cannot happen here because you need more money in the system to charge more prices. Now let's add $10 to the mix. This is coming from the government or the Federal Reserve. That's the topic for another day. So now there's $13 in the economy. Now the corporation's like, oh, okay. So now they start charging more for their products. So first it's the government or the Federal Reserve's fault for bringing the money in. Then it's the corporation's fault for actually charging more money based on what they see in the economy. Now what happens next is up to us. If the corporations raise the prices, but we say, hell no, prices have to come back down and inflation won't happen. So this is basically when people are saving more, right? That money's not going into the economy. That extra $10 is staying in our pockets. So effectively, even though there's $13 in the economy, if we don't spend it, it's like there's only $3. So people saving more would keep inflation low. But you know Americans don't save. So what happens? People actually just spend more, right? So prices rise, the corporations are rising the prices. We're like, we need it, we need the new TV, we need food, we spend, and it could go even higher. So it's a concerted effort. Inflation is made possible by the government and the Federal Reserve introducing money into the economy. Corporations take advantage of the money and start charging higher prices. And then we determine if we're gonna spend that money or not.
This is the 1 million Bolivar. It's from a country that has the largest oil reserve in the world. Venezuela was considered one of the richest countries in all of South America, but due to mismanagement and sanctions, they actually experienced severe hyperinflation in their country. To solve the issue of hyperinflation and create a more stable economy, the government decided to drop the 5 zeros from the fuerte, completely removing it from circulation to make way for the Bolivar Soberano. But it didn't solve the situation. Bolivar Soberano kept losing its value and prices were increasing by the day. People had to use bricks of money to buy simple product. And in 2020, the Central Bank of Venezuela decided to issue the 200,000, 500,000, and 1 million Bolivar. Unlike Zimbabwe, Venezuela's government did not want to issue billions and trillions of Bolivar. In 2021, the government of Venezuela, instead of adding more zeros to its currency, decided to remove the zeros again and start with a brand new Bolivar Digitalis, which is still part of the Soberano series and makes the Soberano and Digitalis series active currency in Venezuela. However, will the inflation stop with these digitales, or will we see Venezuela adding more zeros and printing out a newer Bolivar?
What can you do to protect yourself? It's always good to have a plan if anything like this happens.
You wanna see hyperinflation? I'm gonna show you hyperinflation. This is hyperinflation. These are 1,200,000 Lebanese lira. Check this out. 1,200,000 Lebanese lira. That is exactly $12. $12. The highest denomination banknote is this one, 100,000 Lebanese lira, and this is the highest banknote available, and it's $1.
Yes, money can indeed become worthless. How can something this dramatic happen? You need to understand that money is just paper or numbers on a screen. It only has value if people accept it as a medium of exchange. In other words, you only accept money for your goods or services because you know others will do the same. Now let's assume a revolution takes place in your country, and those who take over print lots of money, then hand that money to everyone. At the beginning, people might be tempted to celebrate, but eventually, too much money will end up chasing a limited number of goods, and confidence will disappear. A loaf of bread can go from costing 1 unit of currency to costing 1 trillion. Eventually, no matter how many zeros you add to a bill, nobody will want it.
This is how much a piece of chicken costs in Venezuela. Hyperinflation in Venezuela has been insane. There's been a 56 million% inflation rate since 2015, and what I'm about to show you might blow your mind. Stick until the end because I'm going to show you how crazy this gets, and then I'm going to tell you why this happens and how you can prevent this. This right here is how much one roll of toilet paper costs. Keep in mind the exchange rate for Venezuela was 1 to 4, meaning that for every dollar, you could have gotten 4 bolivares. Now these carrots cost 3 million bolivares. This kilogram of cheese now costs 7.5 million bolivares. It's insane. Then this kilogram of steak costs 9.5 million bolivares. It literally looks like they're playing Jenga. And last but not least, this piece of chicken costs 14 to 15 million bolivares. And what's crazy is the numbers that I just gave you are actually outdated, and they're from 2018, meaning that this should be 4 to 5 times bigger than what it seems. So this happens because of 2 reasons. One, the way our currency works is that governments can just print however much of it they want, and they don't really back it by anything like gold or silver or any other asset. So the day that the market or anybody loses trust in that government or in that country's economy, then the currency starts losing value, and as that gets worse, it becomes a death spiral, and there you have hyperinflation. So now the people are at the mercy of that government that they might have or might not have elected. In my opinion, a solution to that is something called Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is a digital currency, much like, let's say, a digital gold, and no matter what happens in one country or in another.
Did you know that back in 2013, the government of Zimbabwe only had $217 to its name thanks to hyperinflation? And you can see the rate of hyperinflation behind me, which started really picking up back in 1991. And if you follow the chart for a couple years, you can see that hyperinflation reached triple digits starting in 2001. And if you think that's really crazy, starting in mid-November of 2008, hyperinflation for the month reached 79 billion%. And things got so bad in Zimbabwe that the country decided to stop filing inflation numbers. And if you were a restaurant or shop in Zimbabwe, you had to adjust your price multiple times every single day, and the country had no other option but to adopt a foreign currency as its national currency. In 2009, the country decided to stop printing Zimbabwe dollars entirely and adopted the US dollar instead. And hyperinflation in Zimbabwe was caused by a number of things, including a high national debt as well as a lack of confidence in the government entirely. There were political and institutional corruption as well as sanctions by the US and the EU. And at the time, the government had to print a lot of money to deal with its national debt. The volume of currency that's being printed eventually caused the whole thing to crash. And this eventually led to many starving billionaires in Zimbabwe.
This is crazy, and the way the United States is spending money could very well be the end of the dollar. How long can they keep kicking the can down the road? Time will tell. Thank you for watching. Until next time.